Hello grade 12s. Today I'm looking at the next interpenetration curve in your drawing pack. This is the 2015 trials paper, and after this we'll be doing the 2015 final paper, and you'll note that the drawings were actually very similar. So this drawing, they have given you a square prism fitting into a semicircle, and they've given a lot of the detail already. They've asked you then to complete the front view, so that's where we're going to get the curve. Then they've asked you to develop the branch pipe as well as the main pipe. So that's why they've given you more of this detail here, is because they're expecting more of the developments, and that's where obviously the marks are going to come from. So we're going to get started by taking our circle, dividing that with our pizza slices, and then taking those points up to our front view to get the curve of interpenetration. What I'm going to do now is just to label my prism. So here's the highest point of the prism. It doesn't really matter in which order you're going to put them here. Let's say I'm just going to label that point 1 and label around clockwise for the shape. Okay, so I'm meaning that this point here is 1, 2, the bottom point 3, and this edge 4. Now, what we can do to find those in our front view, we could either use the auxiliary view. Now, when we go between views, it rotates 90 degrees. So if we look at it, if we had our prism flat before it was tilted, it's rotated 90 degrees, which would mean 1 would be there, 2, 3, 4, still labeling clockwise. Now that prism then gets rotated so that it is in line and parallel with our branch pipe. So that means if we had to tilt this, 1 is going to be here, 2, 3, and 4 clockwise again. Another way we could follow that up is, if I had to follow this point, there is point 1 going up. If I follow my line up here, here is 2 and 4, and there's the lowest point 3. Okay, so a number of ways, just making sure that we would label and number the branch pipe correctly. So the first step I'm going to just project up is the edge of my shape. So here's the edge of my shape. I'm just going to have that line in there just so that I can see where the edge of my circle is. The branch pipe highest point and lowest point are in front of the edge of our shape, which means we will see these points. But anything from this edge is going to be hidden detail. So let's focus on getting the edges that we can see first, as well as the easiest points being the points of my branch pipe. Let's start by working our way from the edge and then going to the points around there. So first I want to start with point 4. Now point 4, as you can see here, is actually touching the edge of my semicircle. So that's one's quite easy. We'll just take where my branch pipe is and project it down, and that's giving me point 4. Let's go to our next point. So our next 2 points are actually on the same line here, point 1 and 3. So if I take point 1, I'm going to project point 1. I then take where point 1 hits the semicircle and project that line up, and there I have got point 1. I do the same thing for point 3, So project my line down, and that's going to give me my same point, point 1 and 3, hit at the same point, and there is point 3. So here I've got point 1, 4 and 3. Where's point 2? Point 2 is on the same line as point 4, so I now just need to project up from where it's touching our circle, and that's going to give me point 2. Remember, that's behind the edge of my circle, so this actually would be in hidden detail. So there are 4 simple points that we can find quite easily. Now we need to find where our pizza slices are. I've labeled my pizza slices A, B, C, and I'm now going to find them in my front view. So first of all, because this branch pipe is tilted, we can use that to help us find our points by projecting the line to where it cuts the branch pipe, project it up to the front view, and then project that parallel. Where that intersects with our vertical line from point A, that's where our point will be. So the easiest thing to do will be to start by drawing the vertical line from A into the front view. Okay, so there is my A line. Now find where it cuts the branch pipe. So project this forward. Where does it cut the branch pipe? Now, once again, as I said to you before, where this cuts the branch pipe, we can project it up to our front view because it is tilted. Okay, so there is my 1 point. There's my second 2 points, so these are my A points. And project those now down parallel to hit my A line. So there are my 2 A lines. Now we follow the same process for our B point. So where B cuts my circle, I'm going to project that line up vertically. Here's my B line. Then I'll take that to where it hits the branch pipe. Where it hits the branch pipe, I then project it up to the branch pipe in the front view. And then take that down parallel to my branch pipe. I can now join up my points. So these are the parts that I would see. 1 goes to B, goes to A, goes to 4. 4 goes to A, B, 3. And they join up with the edges of the branch pipe at 1 and 3. Now you can use your flexi curve or French curves to get these points. So quite a long sloping one on that side and a fairly tight curve on this side. So that is the front part of our curve. Remembering that point 1 and 3 are slightly past the edge of our shape. Now the rest of the points that we're going to find will be in hidden detail. So the edge of our circle here is on the pizza slice. So what we've already got that edge being projected in our front view. So I just need to take up the points from the top view, and they look like they actually on the same points that we've got already for B. Okay, they touch B and they touch B on this side. Okay, so they're at the same points of B, so B and C just happen to be on the same points. So where those are, we follow those points down, parallel. I've got already. So there is point C, and here is point C on this side. Okay, so there's point C and point C on this side. My final point is the point 2. Now point 2 is on the line going down here, so we just need to project up our point, and we've actually got that already. So there's point 2, there's point C, so a very tiny little curve coming around there, and then join up the edge to point C, also in detail with a vertical line. So I'm going to go over this line now. So remember, we need to go from point 1 to point C. So a very tiny little curve coming from 1 to C. C then goes to 2. So in hidden detail, the bottom of C coming to 2, and C going to 3. We also need to join up a very tiny little straight line, vertical line coming from the edge of the circle to point C in hidden detail. And that gives us the curve of interpenetration in the front view. Now we need to draw the developments of both the prism and of the semicircle. The semicircle I'm going to project straight across here, because then we've got the height dimensions already, and I'm going to do the branch pipe a little bit down here on the side. So I've projected my height dimensions. I've left a space of 15 millimeters between the views. Now remember, the length that we need to mark off now is half of the circumference. Okay, remember the calculation for your circumference could be 2 pi r or pi d. I've measured my radius here to be 30. So if I just do that calculation, so there's a calculation. Remember, that gives us 188, and we need half of that because we're only doing half of the circumference. So we need to mark off a distance of 94. Now, because this distance is not a number that is divisible by 6, we're going to have to do the line division method. So I'm drawing, and this could be any angle. I'm drawing a 30-degree angle, and what I'm going to mark off is 6 equal spaces. Okay, so then we've got to join that with our set square. to the last edge. And draw the remaining points parallel. And that gives us all our points, and we can then project them up vertically. Now, just to get the labeling correct, so the furthest point I'm going to make my point 4, okay, which is the edge of my shape. Then my next point is A, next point is B. I don't know where the top and bottom for 1 and 3 are. My next point is C, and these points I don't really need because we don't have this, and we're just going to have to work out and calculate this edge. So let's find our first point, point 4. So for point 4, I've got my 1 point, so my vertical line. I need my horizontal one. So where's point 4 in my front view? There's my height, and I can project it across, and that gives me specifically where point 4 is. The next point we've got is point A. So we follow the same process. There's our 1 point, our vertical line. Now we need to find our horizontal line. So it's the height measurement we need. Here is the height measurement for A. So where point A is, I project that across to cut my vertical line of A. Okay, the theory of 2 points, and there are those 2 points. We follow the same process for our next point, which was B. Here is our vertical line B. We now need to find our horizontal line B. Here is B. I'll project that across to cut line B. The next point is point C. Here is point C. The vertical line, let's project our horizontal line across. Here there is no D because it didn't touch our last pizza slice. So we need to now calculate from B to where point 1 and 3 is, and we need to calculate where C is to our last point 2. So in order to find point 1 and 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the distance from point B to where it hits 1 and 3. I then come and take that distance and mark it off on my development. So this is where our vertical line is going to be for point 1 and 3. Now this method is slightly out because this line does curve, but over that distance it's a slightly negligible distance, and I don't think your point should be out by very far. So the same process that we've done before now. We need a vertical line, then we go and find where point 3 is to get the height measurement, project that across, and where point 1 is, and project that across, giving us our height measurements that are required. So we've got most of our points. The last one we just need to find is point 2. In order to find point 2, I'm going to take the measurement from point C to point 2, go to my development, put my compass at C and mark it off. That will give us now where we need to mark off our vertical line. Then we've got to go to the front view to get the height line. There is point 2, and we can project that across to cut here, and there gives us point 2. We've got all our points now. It's a matter of joining them up with your French curve or flexi curve, and then draw in the outline of our semicircle. There we have the completed development of the main pipe of the semicircle. Now I'm going to develop the branch pipe. So I've picked the start point for my branch pipe development. So a random point for my horizontal line, and I've also left a space of 15 millimeters between the views. Now let's remember, when we want to fold open, that's basically what development means here. We want to fold open this shape. So what we need is the length of the side here, and we need to mark that off 4 times. So there is my distance that I've marked off 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I've labeled them 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember, 4 has to come back to 1 to join up the shape. Now let's get the easy points first of all. So point 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we can't take the measurement off our top view. That doesn't give us the true length that we need. We need to come to our front view to get the measurements off the front view. So we can't take the measurements off here, that distance, because it's not on the true slope. It doesn't give us the true measurement. Okay, so please remember that. We need to come to the front view to get the measurements that we need. So there I've got the length at point 1, and I'm going to bring that down and mark that off on the respective points. We follow the same process. We now go to point 2. Here's where point 2 touches, get our distance, mark it off. While I'm at this point, I get the longest distance, which is point 4, and mark that off. And our last distance, point 3. And mark that off. Okay, those are the easy points because they are on the specific lines. Okay, everyone should get those. Those are not too hard to calculate. The slightly more tricky ones are going to get our pizza slices and where they touch the branch pipe. So let's start on the left edge here at point 1 and start working out our other points. So if we look at our shape here, here is point 1. If it's going to go to point 2, we need to find the distance to C. Now this is where it's important that you've got your auxiliary view, because this edge in your front view and this edge in your top view does not give you the true length that point 1 is away from point C. We've got to take it to our auxiliary view. So there I project this line. So this is my C line. So the distance going from 1 to C is that distance. It would be the corresponding distance from 3 going to 2. So let's get this distance now. So compass, here's my distance of 1 going to 2 to find C, and the same of 3 going to 2. Now let's take them to the same points. So when 1 goes to C, I'm going to go from 1 and it's going towards 2, and I mark off point C. Now at the same, it's point 3 going to back to point 2. So I bring this across to my development, and I mark from 3 going to back to point 2, and I mark off that distance and draw in my vertical line. After I found my vertical line, I can then go and get the true length from my front view. So when we look for this point in our front view, what we'll notice is the following. Here is point 1. Point 2 is at the back of the shape, the hidden detail point. So I need to measure this distance of C going to hit at the edge here. Okay, so this is C. Between 1 and 2, there is my height distance. Come and transfer this into my development. Here is point 2 going to point 3, and that's where C is. So this is where we're going to get the measurement for C on the other side of the shape. Okay, at 3 going to 2, this is the height that we're going to need here. Okay, so it's just how we've got to combine to get the length measurements off our auxiliary view here. The true length is, or height, is still going to come off the front view. Next, we're going to find point B. Let's try and remember that we need to follow the same process. So to find the length that we need to mark off, we've got to project point B into the auxiliary view, because that's going to give us the length that we're going to need to mark off here. Now the common corner here is corner 4, so what I'm going to do is take point 4, get our measurement that we need to point B. There's our distance to point B. I'm going to then come to point 4 and mark that off. So 4 going to 3 is where I need to mark it off, 4 going to 3, and 4 going towards point 1. I'm going to put in my vertical lines, and I now need to get the measurement for our vertical line off the front view. Same process as before. So if I come to my front view, here is point B, and that's where it touches. Okay, and this is the point B going from 4 to 3. So set up that distance. So there's my distance of B on going from 4 to 3. So here's 4 to 3, and I'll mark it off on that height. I now need to go to the top. Here is where it's going from 4 to 1. So get my distance over here. There's point B on the other side that we're going to need from 4 going to 1. Okay, so there's B and B, and we've now got all the points that we need to join them up to get our development of the branch pipe. There is the completed development of our branch pipe. Please just remember, because we've got a semicircle, the lines need to be curved slightly in order to fit our shape. They can't be straight lines. The edges of our branch pipe, so points 1, 4, 3, 2 and 1 on the other side, would be drawn in because that's where there would be fold lines when it was a square duct.